So I thought I'd combine a walk with a talk this morning by way of efficiency of time, and also because I went for a walk yesterday and I walked for about an hour and a half, and throughout the walk I spoke aloud, and I spoke actually about a certain young lady that I've had encountered lately, and some of those things I probably wouldn't anyway publish because I want to be careful not to create any offence, and I try to speak carefully, but of course there's always a risk, isn't there, of somebody finding some view offensive or something, especially when it's a personal matter, and if somebody could identify the person and so on and so forth. I think this is the risk with being quite open with my thoughts, and it's not something that I seek to do. Now, I don't wish to conceal the things that I'm saying. Otherwise, I don't think I would say them if I thought they needed to be hidden. But at the same time, I don't want to encourage anybody to listen. Although, I've shared a piece of music perhaps with somebody that wouldn't listen to the other things, I would imagine, but could. So I really have no idea who hears these things, and I bear that in mind, of course. I just try to speak respectfully of everybody, as I think it behooves me to do, and all of us really, to be respectful to our brethren, although we may not agree with their particular stance or position. I always find it odd when I come for my walk to realise that so many people don't understand that you don't need a dog to go for a walk. The expense and difficulty of dog ownership, and I am actually a dog lover. I had 2 dogs in Italy, and then various dogs over the period that I stayed there. And I grew up, and my mother and father had a dog, and I became fond of it. I've always felt some familiarity with dogs, unlike with cats, which I really don't much like and tolerate, but only because I'm not allowed to shoot them on sight. And of course people are attached to their cats, so I would never do anything to harm one because of that. But then there's the matter of grey squirrels. Well, I think grey squirrels harm as do cats. They harm birds, you see. So I think it's important to see the full picture before forming an allegiance with one type of animal as opposed to another, which is what pet ownership is really. Pets are absolutely pointless. You don't need to have a pet to have a relationship, because you have a relationship with Jesus Christ. And you don't need to have a companion to have a relationship. That relationship is a spiritual relationship that accompanies our every waking moment. It's just that we kind of forget it, I suppose. Me too, But a pet is otherwise pointless. I know that the psychologists will say it's good for you to have one, and I'm sure it is. Good afternoon. But really, as long as you're going for the walk and having a relationship and not being closed in yourself and managing to share your thoughts, which is what I do on the internet really. It's not as though I've got any tremendous pearls of wisdom. Then I think that's fine. I just don't feel the need to go to all the expense and of buying an animal and caring for it, and then the veterinary charges are just tremendous these days. And then, of course, picking up, because there's really far too many dogs. Whenever I walk on this common, at any time of the day, there's always 3 or 4 running around with their owners. I mean, they're docile. I don't fear them. The owners are diligent in picking up their droppings in the main, although they do sometimes hang the plastic bags on the tree, which I think I haven't quite fully understood the logic of there, but there's just too many, really. We don't need them, and particularly cats. There's no point in keeping an animal, really. I mean, a dog is a work animal. That's why one of the reasons I was so distressed when all those dogs were put down at the end, when the hunting was banned, and entire packs of hounds. I don't know exactly what the name of the species is that are used. Foxhounds, I guess they call them, but and a hunt, I don't know how many dogs. They'd have 50 or 60 dogs, I think. Working dogs. As anybody who goes shooting will have a working dog. Anybody who's involved in farm duties, a dog is a very useful thing to have around the farm, I'm sure, as long as it's trained to a good level. And of course there's guard dogs. Some people would prefer to have a guard dog. That's another working dog. Has to be treated with a certain care and respect. Only certain breeds. But the rest of them are what they used to call lap dogs. And this was a habit that arose, I think, in the 1800s, when wealthy ladies had a sort of an affection that they wanted some small creature to pet upon their lap, and so a dog was brought into the home to appease the young lady. And from there, it gradually became, fashionable to keep a domestic animal as a sort of a, I don't know, a fashion, I suppose. And when it started off, it was a cheap matter because you feed them scraps, and the vet would be just the local farm vet. They didn't really have that business well developed. When I went to Italy, that's how it was, actually. And then that gradually morphed into an entire industry of health professionals dedicated to looking after the needs of pets at great expense. The world is a funny old place, really, when you look at it. God bless this morning. I hope this has been a successful video. Who can say?